In this lesson, you are encouraged to think about your future goals. What do you want to be when you grow up? Is there a job that you have in mind? What industries do you like? And for the jobs and industries you have in mind, do you have any ideas about the yearly salary, the education required to attain the job? For example, do you need a college or higher level degree? Do you need to go to medical school or develop special technical skills? Do you know what a typical work week may be like on the job? Will you need to travel? You are still in school, and this is a perfect time to research different types of jobs and ask yourself questions about what you would like to do in the future. By exploring your goals and researching prospective jobs, you open yourself to future possibilities. In this lesson, you first examine your personal goals for the future. Next, you explore lots of different kinds of jobs and industries and dig down into the details about the jobs, such as the training required, yearly salary, and working conditions. Finally, you learn how to develop a plan for your future, for defining attainable and measurable short, medium, and long-term goals that you need to accomplish in order to be able to work in the jobs that interest you most. Have you ever set a goal and not achieved it? Goal setting is actually a skill. Sometimes the goals you set may be unrealistic, sometimes they may be too general, and as such are not attainable. Here is a framework for goal setting. Your goals should be SMART, that is S-M-A-R-T. Let's define SMART and then look at some examples. First, your goals should be specific. What you want to achieve must be clear, focused, and easily understood. Second, they should be measurable. The achievement of the goal must be able to be measured. Third, your goals should actually be attainable. You actually should be able to achieve the goal. Fourth, they should be relevant. In other words, your goals should be directly related to your future. Finally, your goals should have a time element. They should have a start and end date and be measurable. Let's look at some examples. Examine the goals on this slide. Which do you think follow the SMART framework? I want to be an Oracle Certified Java Programmer. This is a specific goal. It is measurable as there is a certification test you can take to become certified. It is attainable because you are taking the Java Fundamentals and Programming courses. As to whether it is relevant to you is determined by you and your future goals. Finally, you can achieve this goal within a certain time period. Provided you are interested in this certification, becoming an Oracle Certified Java Programmer follows the SMART framework. Let's look at one more example. I want to be a world champion cyclist. This is also a specific goal. It is measurable as you can compete in international cycling events. As to whether it is attainable is up to you. Do you have the physical ability, body type, discipline, and drive to become a world champion cyclist? The relevance of the goal is also dependent on your interests. Have you ever cycled? Have you ever participated in a competitive race? Is cycling a personal interest of yours? And as for the timing, how many years of training would be required to achieve this goal? For me, this goal does not follow the SMART framework because I do not have the interest in cycling. This goal is also not relevant to my future, but it may be to yours. Aims are generalized statements that can't be measured. I want a good education. How can you measure this? Does it involve graduating from high school or college or university? And what is the time period during which you will accomplish this? This statement does not follow the SMART framework. Similarly, the statement, I want a good job, is an aim rather than a goal. What constitutes a good job? It is not clear what a good job is. And once again, how do you measure a good job? Is it based on salary, on hours worked? The statement, I want success, is also an aim as it is not clear exactly what the goal is, how you can measure it, how you can attain it, and what the time frame is for being successful. Think about your own goals by using the SMART framework. Do you have anything that you would like to accomplish during your school years? How about during your college university years? Are you driven to accomplish a specific goal in your lifetime? Do you have a vision for your future? Remember, defining goals is a skill. You may initially write some aims. You can always revise your list by keeping the SMART framework in mind. You can categorize your goals as short, medium, and long range. Short-term goals are goals you can accomplish within the next month to 1 year. For example, you may graduate from high school or become an Oracle Certified Java Programmer in the next year. Medium-range goals are goals you can accomplish within 5 years. For example, you may set the goal of earning a Bachelor of Science in Engineering in the next 5 years. Long-range goals are those you hope to accomplish within your lifetime or are related to your career and/or lifestyle. I want to be a medical doctor is a long-term goal. Now it is time to revisit your personal goals. Take a moment and jot down on a piece of paper your goals within the next month, 3 months, 1 year, 5 years, and the longer term. Occupation is another word for job. There are thousands of different occupations, many of which you have probably never heard of before. The question is, where can you learn more about these occupations? In the U.S., the government publishes the Occupational Outlook Handbook every year. Countries outside the U.S. may have a similar resource. Examine the list of IT jobs on this slide. Did you know so many jobs existed? Now let's look deeper at each of these jobs. What kind of knowledge is required to be a computer and information systems manager? Probably a background in software, hardware, and business. What kind of knowledge is needed to be a computer programmer? Experience in many different programming languages such as Java, C, PHP, C++, Python, Perl, SQL, and so on. Each of these different jobs requires a different skill set. By examining these jobs in more detail, you can learn about the training and education needed, the earnings, and the expected job prospects. In other words, is the job going to be around in the next 5 years, or will there be more demand for the job? You can also learn about what you actually do on the job, as well as the working conditions, such as whether you work in an office, whether you travel, and the number of hours and days in a typical work week. Do some job titles appeal to you more than the others? When searching for a job, these are the jobs you should research most carefully. An industry is a basic category of business activity. For example, agriculture, apparel manufacturing, banking, and health services are industries. The industry you work in can be just as important as your occupation. Some industries may be more interesting to you than others. Another reason to consider various industries is that some are likely to pay more than others do. Examine the industries on this slide or in a different resource provided to you by your instructor. Do any of them interest you? Do you have experience or any knowledge about any of these industries? Let's drill down into a specific industry in the U.S., software publishers. What can you learn about this industry? First, employment is projected to increase by 32% between 2006 and 2016, and computer specialists account for 52% of all workers. This industry has a bright future. In terms of working conditions, workers in the software publishing industry averaged 37.6 hours per week in 2006, compared with 33.9 for all industries combined. Many workers in this industry worked more than the standard 40-hour work week. About 26% worked 50 hours or more. So you may need to work longer hours in this industry. As for the work environment for software publishers, most workers in this industry work in clean, quiet offices. All of this information is relevant, especially if you are thinking about pursuing a job in this industry after you graduate from college or university in the next 5 years. For more information about U.S. industries, please see the U.S. Department of Labor's Career Guide to Industries at bls.gov. Do some industries appeal to you more than others? Many job titles exist in different industries. For example, you can be a database administrator in a hospital or a bank. You can be a software programmer in a utility company or in a company that makes motion pictures or video games. Your career is the progression of your working life. When planning for your future, research the combination of jobs and industries that interest you most. Your ideal career is likely to be found in some combination of these jobs and industries. After you have identified your ideal job, learn as much as possible about it. This job description for a graphic designer was found on Craigslist in the San Francisco Bay Area. It shows that candidates must have knowledge of the software packages Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Acrobat, and InDesign, and will ideally have experience with Dreamweaver, Flash, and HTML. Advertising agency experience is also desirable for this job. By researching job posts in addition to occupational and industry data, you can learn a lot about requirements for jobs that interest you. Planning for your future involves planning SMART goals to help you attain the education and skills you need to find a job in an industry that interests you. It is useful to break down the requirements for a job into the categories: education, skills, work experience, and personal characteristics. You can then set short, medium, and long-term goals to help you achieve the requirements.